Hello, everyone, and welcome back to When the Cookie Crumbles. I'm Susan Reddick, and I'm your host. And today I have Ashley Bedford here with me today. Tell us where you work.
Hi, I'm Ashley Bedford with Patriot Home Funding.
And you're a licensed mortgage broker.
I am, yeah, a licensed mortgage broker.
All right, this is exciting because I'm a real estate broker, so we got to trade some heads here today. Okay, so you know what? I wanted to have you on the show for one. This show is about trials you had in your life, how you triumphed over it. And so let's start right there. Let's talk about your journey. Can you talk about maybe a major trial that you might have had in your life?
Yeah, so both my parents left by the time I was 13, and so I lived with my grandparents through high school and moved to Florida when I was 18 with $150.
Oh, where were you from originally?
I'm from Ohio and Oklahoma, so
wow, that's a long way with $150.
$150.
Never could have done it.
Only knew my husband, so that was
Oh,
it.
both of you came?
No, he's born and raised here.
Okay.
But I met him through mutual friends.
Okay.
Over the phone, and
So you came
been here for a long time.
You came in with your man. Okay.
I said, let's go to Florida.
Yes.
And I bought a bike with $150 and
Like
rode it to
a physical
bicycle. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing I probably wouldn't do.
I rode to Target and Bubbaloo's on Kirkland and Conroy for a year without a car.
What, for jobs?
Yes.
Oh my, good.
So until I got into the banking world from there.
That is so good. Because you know what? Because some people be like, well, I can't get to work unless I got a ride. Okay.
Yeah. And then
that's a success story right there.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, and to look back from that, and then I remember making $10.25 an hour and thinking I have made it. Like, you know?
Well, if you were making $0 per hour, $10.25 was like $1 million.
Yes, exactly. It was paying the bills. So.
Yes.
And then that's eventually working in banking and how I got into mortgage brokering. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what made you take that leap?
So I needed some extra money. I had worked with a mortgage broker, and I thought, well, I'll process for them.
Okay.
And she said, no, you need to be a mortgage broker. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And then my husband was like, well, that's a commission job. And I was like, well, I don't get paid by somebody. And so I just took the leap. We moved back to Orlando from Pensacola. And I said, there's no turning back. Like, I got to make this work for my family. And I did it. So just kept going.
That's really cool. You know, every job that I've ever been on, I try to make sure I learn something that I can use in the future.
Yeah.
So you did the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. And I saw how it was such an opportunity. I had worked with a large lender to try to buy a house when I was in my 20s, and they told me I needed like $30,000, and I ended up working with a broker and only needed like half that amount of money. And I said, well, I would have never been able to buy a house or thought it was possible if I would have continued with such a large lender. So I wanted to do that for everybody else.
Oh, that is so good because, you know, and I prefer to work with a mortgage broker because, you know, a lot of us are just regular people. We don't have that perfect credit and we need a little bit of down payment assistance and all that sort of thing. And I found that when I work with a big bank or something like that, they have such strict rules.
Exactly.
But a mortgage broker is somebody can go out there and just fight for you. And if this don't work, they're going to come back and fight a little more until they make it happen. Exactly. Is that what you do in your practice?
That is exactly what I do. My goal is to make sure that even if it's not right now, how do we get there? What can we do? How do we get there? What steps can we take? Can I help you with your credit? Do we need to get you to credit repair? Can we use some down payment assistance? You know, whatever to get you into home, because I feel like everybody deserves to have that opportunity.
Okay. So you're not afraid of those hard ones?
No, I like the challenge. So
it actually gives you a kind of rush once they get to the table because you work so hard to get them there.
And it's so sad. It's like satisfying to know that they worked hard, I worked hard, and now we've made it here. And that changes the trajectory of their lives and generational wealth. So it's good.
Excellent. Okay, now you did something that was really exciting. You rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. I'm a broker, so we work with a lot of lenders, and one of our lenders went public, and we were able to go ring the New York Stock Exchange bell, which was really just a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It was really
now tell people
cool
what going public means. What does that mean?
So that means that their stock is sold publicly, and people can buy that.
Oh, anybody can
buy stock in this lender. And so we were able to ring the bell and just go throughout the New York Stock Exchange building and see what it looked like. And
I think I've seen that before. They do that like at noon, 12 o'clock, or in the daytime?
So I did the closing bell, which was right around like 4.
And were you standing up on this top? I
Yeah.
see that on TV like at noontime, and they're standing up on this platform, and
Yeah.
it's so cool. And you did that.
Yes, that was so awesome too.
The little girl that was riding on the bicycle
Yes.
from Bubbaloo's to what was that?
Target.
From Target. Oh my
Yes.
God. That's major.
Yes, it was so good. It was like amazing feeling to do that and see my girls. I have a 16-year-old and 9-year-old watch that to see their mom do that. So it was really cool.
So now tell me, how long you've been the licensed mortgage broker? How long have you been into that now?
So 8 years, and I was in banking for 8 years prior to that.
Oh, so we got 16 years experience.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. Okay, so tell me about part of the journey that you've had. I mean, it can be really tough when you're the woman. I was just thinking about that. A lot when you're a woman, you got to get up, you got to take care of the kids, you got to get the kids out, feed everybody, go make a living, then still come home, make it work. Tell me about the journey. It can be so hard for us as women.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let some other women out there that needs to hear this.
Yes. So I think that traditionally, it's like the woman stays home and the man works. Well, I came to a point in my career that I just was exhausted because I was picking kids up, and it was like, well, my day just ended at 2:30, so I got to go get kids from school, and how am I going to get all this work done and then cook dinner? And my husband was stressed at his job, and I was able to make a lot more money than he was. So at some point, I sat down and I said, I just really need you to quit your job. I need you to stay home with the kids. We've got to make a difference here and change what's happening in our life because it's exhausting for both of us. And coming from a family that provides, like the man provides, I think that's the traditional aspect, and without making him feel like I was demasculating him or anything, just to get to where our family needed to be so our kids weren't having to stay with strangers and our family could just work. And at first it was a little bit of a journey, to figure that out, but we just made it work.
Now you don't be coming home like, I saw a spot there now.
No, not at all. No. And our kids are a little bit older now, so it's nice, but still, just picking up from school and dinners and all the activities that they have, it just made our life work better. And somebody had told me before, you can do all things, but you can't do all things great. And so pay people or find people that can help you with the other things. And so I said,
what better person?
Oh yeah, like you have to,
because he's invested into you.
Exactly.
So that is amazing. I've been a little blessed lately because my husband just retired after being on his job for 34 years.
Yeah.
And so, but he's going crazy. So he can't sit home. He's gonna find him another job or something to do. But it's been so good because a lot of times I'll come home and he'll say I cooked. Yeah. And that's big for me. Yeah. That's really large to know that I don't have to try to figure out what's going to be for dinner, and I'll sit down and he'll bring me my dinner. I mean, it's just a wonderful feeling to know that you got a partner that doesn't mind doing that.
Well, and he's been able to spend time with his kids too. He had a demanding job that was a salary position, for corporate America.
Yeah.
So our oldest daughter, a lot of times he wasn't home for dinner and things like that. So it's just been a really blessing in our life to be able to do this. So
that's great. I
love
love
that. But amazing. Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's get back to the mortgage thing. Tell me about the challenges in getting a mortgage. A lot of things have changed lately. Interest rates. Tell me what's going on in the mortgage world.
So as we know, interest rates are up, and then insurance, I'm sure everybody's heard, is higher. So it just helped.
Yeah, my mortgage went up $200 a month because the insurances all went up. Yeah. And increasing in insurance.
So it's deterring people from qualifying. And then on top of that, recently, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is like your conventional lending, have come out and said anybody with a certain debt to income, your rate's now going to be higher. Well,
really,
it is such a challenging time that's it's frustrating for people. So I think we're going to see a lot more like parents and children living together. I think we're going to see that multi-generational household in order to just qualify for a house. So. And to have somebody on your side that's really working for you and you're not just a number and you can reach out anytime you need for help is huge.
So now let me go back to what I just heard you say something. You said anybody that has the debt ratio.
A certain debt to income ratio, if it's over 45. Now.
Meaning your bills.
Like, yeah, so there's a front end, which is your mortgage, just your mortgage.
Okay.
And then there's a back end, which is your mortgage and all of your monthly liabilities, okay? And so anybody who has over 45 now will now have a higher interest rate because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the people who lend your money in the secondary market that mortgages get sold to, have decided that it's too risky and now they want higher rates to cover that risk.
Oh, wow. So, well, how can we cure something like that? Would you tell people they could pay some of their bills off?
Yeah, so we try to work on. I'm a big advocate of you can call me and I'd say, hey, you're approved for $500,000, but that doesn't mean you want $4,000 a month payment.
Yeah.
So I'm a big advocate of let's see what you can afford. Can you afford this? What does it look like? What price house can we get to that looks like your affordability? And a lot of places don't do that. They're like, oh, here's a pre-approval. But
Go spend that whole $500,000. Yeah.
I know. Well, and that's not best because then you end up losing your house, or your house shouldn't be a burden. It should be a blessing.
Yes.
I think is a huge thing.
I like that.
And so I want to make sure that when you call me in a year down the road, you're like, oh, I love my house. It's been such a blessing to my family. It's changed our lives, and then that way, a lot of people, they buy a house and then turn it into a rental in a year and then go buy another house. So
Yes.
that way they can make enough rent off of it in the future too, to cover that cost of the mortgage, and they're not like outrageously overspending.
Yes.
So I think those are the solutions for it. As you've seen, we're seeing a lot more seller concessions, which
Yes.
buy down the rate, which helps.
Yeah, it just, to me, the market just keeps flipping back and
It
forth.
does.
You're in a buyer's market, then a couple months you're going to be in a seller's market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just work with it either way. It's going to work for me either way.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a good question for you. Based on what we just talked about, if you could go back
Mhm.
and talk to your 18-year-old self, the 18-year-old Ashley on the bicycle, all that good stuff, knowing what you know right now, what would you tell that Ashley? Or any other 18-year-old that's getting ready to step out on faith or take that big leap?
I think a lot of times we look back and we think, oh, I wish I would have changed this to do this. But I think that every single triumph and blessing has led us to where we're at. Like, you can look at moments of your life that are just, they change your trajectory. Like, don't regret those things and just keep going. And don't listen to anybody else, because just keep going, just keep going. So I think that's the huge thing, is don't regret any decisions you make and do what's right for you and your family.
And don't be afraid to ask for
Go.
help, too.
Yeah, just go. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, you can't do everything. So
I'm excited about this. So, you know what? So I learned some stuff today. So you're a licensed mortgage broker, and you're not afraid. As a matter of fact, you pride yourself on working with people who, the ordinary person who thought that they could never buy a house. You're not afraid. You don't mind working if they need, because, sometimes I have people come and they need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So you can evaluate them and tell them if they do A, B, and C, they'll end up at D. Right?
Yes.
You're not afraid to do that.
yeah, and a lot of times I can help with like certain things, and then if it's outside of my realm, I say, okay, well, we need to bring this person in to help, whether it be credit repair, or sometimes they may not qualify for down payment assistance, but they don't have the money. Like, can we find a family member that can gift you? Can we get a tax return? Like, where are we at with that? So just to get that help for them, to show them where they need to go.
And you don't mind working with down payment assistance?
No.
I mean, I'm asking that because
Yeah.
when I was looking for a lender at one time, I started interviewing people, and I was getting questions like, I don't want to work with anybody that doesn't have a 750 credit score, and they were absolutely against the down payment. Nobody wanted to work with that. And what I want to do is work with a lender that will work with my buyer that's got $500,000 in the bank and an 800 credit score, but will also work with the person who needs to get up to 640. That she might only have a 580, but she's working up to the 640 so she can get the down payment assistance.
Exactly.
So I want a lender that's gonna give the same to everybody.
And we have some private down payment assistance options, which make the process a lot more seamless as well, that offer that private down payment assistance for buyers.
Oh.
And they don't have as many debt to income restrictions on that product either, because a lot of times with the county you have very strict debt to income
Yes.
requirements, and with the private you don't. It's not quite as strict. It goes just off what FHA guidelines are. So it's great.
All right, child, you heard it here. I'm so excited that I had Ashley Bedford here for Patriot Home Funding.
Yep.
So now tell everybody where they can find you. Give them all your handles like Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Ashley Bedford, licensed mortgage originator. And you can find me on Instagram at Ashley Bedford_NMLS_1278530. And you can call me as well on my cell phone. I'm available anytime, 407-394-9488.
And remember, Ashley said she's for the people, y'all.
Yes, yes.
We borrowed that. All right, well, we're going to leave it right there.
Yes.
I'm your host, Susan Reddick, and this has been When the Cookie Crumbles. I'll see you next week.